following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
I am back, and you are comfortably zoned with me, the Zig Zag Man, in Alameda, California, right across the bay from San Francisco, and across the moat from Oakland. I've got a fellow Alamedan joining me today. My buddy Jerry Feiteberg is in Mexico and is calling in. How are you?
I'm doing beautifully. Thank you so much for asking. It is a gorgeous day here in Cabo.
I wanted to talk to you, and I thought we'd chat. We hadn't for a week or so, and I realized why. You are in Mexico vacationing, and you were nice enough to take some time away from your lovely day. What are you doing right this minute? You're sitting looking at some scenery. Am I correct?
Yeah, we are looking out at the Sea of Cortez. The other day we saw 3 or 4 whales swim by. The whales come down from Alaska to Cabo San Lucas to give birth to the calves. Then they go back up. I think they were the California gray whales. And right now, it's just the sea is very calm. The weather is about 82 degrees, very comfortable, not too hot, not too cold. And my lovely Isla is getting a massage at the spa. So here I am at the coffee shop, sitting on the patio, talking to you.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thanks for chatting. What makes you decide to spend your retirement years traveling as opposed to just enjoying your 2 lovely settings? 3 actually. You got Healdsburg, where you guys are. You got Alameda, where you still own a home, and
yep.
You're up at the lake. You're also you have some property up at the lake, is it?
No, I have my home. I have a second home in Mendocino, which is a short drive. Not a short drive, but you can see the ocean from my house, and it's very lovely. You have a nice hot tub up there. You go up there. There's no urban stress. You just go up and relax. It's very, very nice up there. But you asked me why I travel. When I was in business and I had the store in Alameda, I couldn't take off the time to do the traveling. And fortunately, I'm well enough to travel at this stage of life. Okay. That's why we're getting caught up.
Would have you enjoyed traveling over a lifetime? What gave you the travel bug? I guess that's what I'm getting at.
Well, when you travel, you get to see things that are different, and you see different countries and different ways of doing things, different cultures. You see different cities. When we went on our cruise last December, and we started in South Africa, we went to countries that I never thought I'd ever see. We went to South Africa, Mozambique, Tanzania, Kenya. Went to Thailand, Sri Lanka, Malaysia, and we ended up in Singapore. And we got to see the city of Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. And we weren't too keen on going there, but we had a wonderful guide, and it was really an amazing city, and I'm glad we went there. Otherwise, we would never have known how great the place was and what they've done there.
Now, what's the attraction to Mexico for you guys?
Excuse me. Mexico is a resort. I've been to Cabo before, and this place is run by the Palace Resorts in Mexico. Now, in Mexico, under Mexican law, foreigners cannot own property within 30 miles of the coast. But and so they can't really sell ownership in timeshares. So what they sell is, to get around it, they sell you weeks at the resort. And you buy so many weeks. And that's what Isla did. She bought so many weeks. And you don't pay any maintenance fees, but when you do use the property, you pay your rental. everything is included.
Now you schedule times to be there with other folks that buy what isn't called timeshares, but in essence is.
Yeah, and the other thing too that they do is that they do sell it to the general public on the internet. Either through Expedia or whatever websites, and couples can come here they don't have to buy the week. They just pay a weekly rent and they come here and vacation here too, so they don't have the expense. So they do it both ways, but it's very, very. They don't let the general public in, but you can get in for it if you pay the freight.
Okay, good. You're enjoying it. That's the trip. You worked hard all your life, and wow, best of all worlds, Jerry.
Yeah, there's a lot to do. They've got I think they got downstairs 4 pools, couple hot tubs, and they got activities going. We went to the town of Todos Santos, All Saints, on Tuesday, and we had lunch at the famous Hotel California, made famous by the Eagles in their song Hotel California.
We had a love, but you just simply cannot check out. In all the times I've listened to that song, it doesn't change.
And it's very lovely, and the waiters were great. We had a nice time there, and tonight we're going on a gallery walk up in San Jose del Cabo, which is at the other end of the peninsula. Cabo San Lucas is at the tip of Baja California, and this is about 30 kilometers, about 18 miles apart. So we're going up there, and we're going to take a walk through the galleries, and we'll have dinner up there tonight. Sounds good.
Living the good life with Jerry Feiteberg, Mexico, United States, all these famous countries. What do you guys do for news? I know you are a man of insatiable curiosity. How is the news delivered to you guys? Do you have an internet connect, or how does that go?
Sure. I brought my computer down, and I have myself. They have Wi-Fi here at the hotel, so you get pretty much their TV programs. Channels aren't too terrific. They do have ESPN, but it's all in Spanish, and so they're showing soccer most of the time. So if I want to get baseball news, I just go to MLB.com, or stuff on Facebook. We get all the reports of the daily transactions. For example, this morning I saw that the Red Sox signed Evaldi for about $65 million for 4 years, and the baseball meetings I think are they starting today or down in
the next day or so? I think starting. Owners start wandering in, general managers and what have you, by the end of the week. Now, I just wanted to say something about the Red Sox. That was a terrific deal, re-signing Evaldi. I thought that was well done. Well done.
Well, the Yankees were after him, and of course we kept tabs on the big trade that the Mets made for Cano and for Diaz. I was hoping that Diaz. What did you think of that?
You followed Seattle really closely over the years. Big opponent of the A's, naturally. How do you feel about that trade?
They're ripping down the team to rebuild it. They're trying to move everybody. They have not been to the playoffs since 2001. They're the longest drought of any team in the big leagues, and want to get back to it. And rather than add a piece or keep building the payroll, they realized that Robinson Cano, they gave him a 10-year, $300 million deal, something like that. He's 36 years old. last year he had the suspension because he was using Lasix to cover up the use of PEDs. So, and of course he broke his wrist, so he was healing for most of the suspension. But nonetheless, they felt it was time to make a move and get some prospects and see if they can rebuild the team. They've got some players, Mitch Haniger, but there are rumors that they're going to move him. They want D. Gordon to play second base. He filled in quite nicely. Gordon was playing center field when Cano got suspended, so they're going with D. Gordon. And I don't know why they want to get rid of Diaz. He saved 57 games for them. It's maybe second most in big league history.
Basically they did it so they could dump Cano's contract. Now, I'm a big Met fan.
Yeah.
Ordinarily, I'd say, whoa, you got a great closer. He's one of the premier closers in baseball. He's young. That fills a hole that they desperately needed to fill. I don't think it's a good idea, just off the top of my head, to break up a double play combination that includes a kid by the name of McNeil, who's a late blooming second baseman, had been hurt in the minors, came up, did a very, very good job. He's known as a table setter, and table setters don't seem to be worth much as a commodity in baseball these days. So they're stuck with Cano at second. Not stuck. Cano's a superstar, really. Fading a little. I don't think it's a 10-year contract, Jerry, but it's a lot of bucks that they're out. I was hoping that my idea was the Mets flipping Cano to the Yankees for Ellsbury, who plays a center field that the Mets really stand to upgrade, what with Lagares getting hurt every 15, 20 minutes.
I don't think they have to give up a position player to get Ellsbury. They probably only have to give him a prospect, and Ellsbury's got this big salary.
No, but you got to but Ellsbury's got the big salary and Cano's got the big salary.
Yeah.
So
well, the
both
Yankees
teams
would have to.
are committed to that salary. They might do a little better. What with D.D. Gregorius out, they're going to move Torres to short, and I thought Cano would fit in with his own team. Nobody jumped at that.
The Yankees are also looking at Machado. They haven't made a deal on that too. They may also pay part of Ellsbury's salary, just like the Mariners are paying part of Cano's salary. They're paying him money to take him off his hands, so that may be a factor. Ellsbury would be okay if he stays healthy, and he's getting up there in age too. I think he's 35 now, but he'd be okay for the Mets. It'd be an improvement, and so it's.
He definitely would. He definitely would be, and they've got the rest. That would be McNeil back at second, and they started winning when they called him up. And
Can he play short?
Coincidence. A team that's strong up the middle, like the good shortstop, double play combination. Mets are also looking at catching, but they've got a new GM, and at least he's a mover and shaker. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. We heard that. Are they looking at Real Muto from Miami? I think they're looking to sign him or make a deal for him.
Looking at him very closely, and it's not a matter of signing him. It's a matter of trading for him.
Yeah.
And they bantied the name of Rosario because they have another great shortstop prospect who's not quite ready. But here we go again. They just get Rosario and McNeil to do well, and they're going to break up that double play combination. It's not what I want.
It's difficult being a general manager with all the salaries. Who's going to be free agents next year? Who's available this year? all the teams have to look forward. The Red Sox have two members of their bullpen that are free agents. Joe Kelly, who pitched very well during the World Series, the playoffs in the World Series, and he throws an average of 98 miles an hour. And then their closer, Craig Kimbrell, who's, I think, 30 or 31. He wants a 6-year deal, and clubs are not going to give that to a closer who's going to be 36 years old and who's going to lose speed off his fastball. So, in my mind, if I were a general manager for Kimbrell, I'd offer him a 3-year deal with an option for a 4th. But he's holding out to see whatever the market will give him. And, the Red Sox have to wait until that happens, when the dominoes start moving and players are signed. And they're, and of course our friends over here in Oakland, they haven't done anything. They did not tender an offer to Mike Fiers. That doesn't mean that they won't sign him, but I don't think that if he went to arbitration, he'd be getting $8 or $9 million, and I don't think they want to spend $8 or $9 million. Edwin Jackson, he is a free agent. He pitched very, very well. Cahill and Anderson are free agents, and they might get 1-year contracts with the A's. There's talk that the A's are going to trade with Milwaukee for Gio Gonzalez, bring him back.
That would be nice. He did well here. He's one of those guys that is really solid wherever he goes. He pitched well for Washington. One of my favorites.
And he's a good guy. I met Gio when he was here last time. And the other possibility is going and getting Sonny Gray back because he pitched well here. And he would so they would give him two good starters, and if they can get Fiers and Jackson, now they almost got a rotation that they could count on for next year. Right now, they won 97 games.
Graveman coming back. You got Cotton.
Not for a while. No, Graveman had Tommy John. He won't be back to the end of the year, and they didn't tender him an offer either.
Well,
maybe
Cotton,
with the minor league
Cotton
club,
had Tommy John surgery early on.
Yeah.
So he's more likely to contribute this year. You also got the kid Mangden,
Mangden. He's so he's not consistent.
Go ahead.
Hello. Yeah, he's got the Raleigh Fingers mustache, but he doesn't throw like Raleigh Fingers. He's not as consistent. No. He's good one day. The next, they got the Blackburn. He's good. He's bad. They've got guys coming back, but they got to stay healthy, and they got to stay healthy and be able to get the A's through the season. They won 97 games, and now they're saying to the fans, "Well, we're gonna survey the scrap heap and see if we can find some gems in the scrap heap that don't cost us any money." They're playing in that game again, and the fans are saying, "Come on, give us a break. You want us to come to a new ballpark? Give us a team. We almost made it to the World Series. We need a little help. We'll come out, but do something for us." And they haven't done anything yet. I don't know what constraints they have on their budget, but they had the lowest payroll, one of the lowest payrolls in baseball of last year, the lowest and next to lowest. So they come on.
And of course, does consistently with less than anyone else in baseball is amazing. Now, I think Jackson and Fiers had terrific years. Even fooled Billy Beane. He didn't think they'd do as well as they do. I don't think you can count on them long term. I think not getting rid of them. Beane will mix and match and patch up the pitching staff. I wouldn't worry about it. If you lose those guys, he'll come up with something else. He's really a genius. I give him more credit than I ever did before I started following this thing through you and Nancy a little more closely.
Yeah. Well, they have a very good coach, a very good scouting staff. You have to give the scouting staff a lot of credit for finding the guys, and then for Billy Beane to pulling the trigger on the deals, for David Forster to evaluating them, and it's the evaluations of seeing someone who's got a lot of rust on him and saying, well, maybe there's a little gold or silver under that rust. And we'll give it a shot and see if it works. And if it works out, they're called geniuses. If it doesn't, they're called bumps. But so far, they've been doing better. They've been doing better as geniuses.
Much better
lately.
than predicted. Jonathan Lucroy, is he a free agent? Can they lock him up?
Yeah, he's a free agent. Well, I think this is what they're doing. I think they want to re-sign him, and he's out on the market. And I have a feeling that Wilson Ramos is out there, that Real Mutos might be available, that the teams looking for catching help are going to pass on Jonathan. He didn't have a tremendous batting average. He batted .241 last year, and he lost a lot of his power. But his value to the team was handling the pitching staff, which he did beautifully. His defense was pretty good. He threw out a few runners, which was good. But he solidified his staff.
How old is he?
I think he's in his 30s. I don't know if he's 31, 32. But he's worth him. And I was very pleased last year when they signed him. I thought he'd be a big addition to the club, and he was. And I think they're just going to let him see what the market is.
Sign him. You won your Nostradamus of the Year award at that moment.
On that,
it's very little cash.
I don't know who his agent is.
By the way.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know who his agent is or how they're sizing up the market for him. I would like that at least the A's would have the right of first refusal on him. Whereas if he got a good offer, and let's say some club came in and said, we'd like to sign, or they gave Jonathan the offer, we're going to give you $7.5 million for the year, or we'll give you a $14 million 2-year deal. Maybe. And the A's had the ability to match it. That's not a huge amount of money for a ball player.
No, $14
million. $7 million. No,
$14 million isn't what it was back when I was a kid and trying to earn $14 million. You know, we talk about these salaries, and it's almost monopoly money anymore. It's absolutely out of hand. You spoke about the possibility of the Yankees signing Machado. Between what Machado mouthed in the World Series, he says, and I'm quoting, paraphrasing maybe, he says, it's not in my DNA to hustle.
Yeah.
Between that statement and his act of taking the inside of the base against the Dodgers and spiking the kid, right?
Yeah.
Which was very punk-like, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
He lost more potential money in signing than Joe DiMaggio made in his entire career.
Oh, sure. And
just the money he lost that he would have gotten when he eventually signs. You know what I'm saying?
You know what Joe DiMaggio said? People asked him, when you go out there, why do you play so hard? Joe would say, well, maybe there are people in the stands who are seeing me for the first time. I do not want to disappoint them. That's why he went out and played hard every day.
Picked up right away what my analogy and why I used Joe DiMaggio. Could have used Mickey Mantle. Could have used Willie Mays. The same thing. But Joe DiMaggio was famous for that. He gave his best every frickin' day, let alone in the World Series. My DNA doesn't allow me to hustle like in a World Series game. Give me a break. He can't get out of L.A. fast enough to please Dodgers management and Dodger fans. Now,
they're going to have the rookie back Seager who had Tommy John surgery. He's going to be back. They're much better off with Seager. I think it's Corey Seager. And the Mariners are trying to get rid of his brother Kyle, by the way, but no one will take him. He only hit .220 last year. So Machado. They brought in Machado as a rental to get to the World Series. The Dodgers don't need him, and they can say, "See ya." We want players who go out there and bust their rear ends every day. That's all you can ask from a player.
That said, Aaron Boone comes out this morning, Yankee manager, and he says, "I don't think Machado's actions will have much of an effect. We'd be glad to have him."
Okay.
In other words, so my point is that in today's day and age, today's mores, today's attitudes, whatever it is, people are always going to take a chance on someone with incredible talent. The guy's great.
Yeah, look at all the teams that signed Alex Johnson. You remember him? He had a bad attitude. Or Milton Bradley had a bad attitude.
Wasn't he signed by the Angels years ago?
He played. And he had a gun in the locker room. And his brother was the running back that just passed away.
There was something about Frank Robinson and a gun instance. Years ago when he was young.
But I remember when Milton Bradley was with the A's in 2006, the year they made it through the first round of the playoffs. Big Frank Thomas was here, and Thomas had a very calming effect on Bradley. But Thomas had a tremendous year. He hit 39 home runs that year, and then he went with the Blue Jays the following year. And Bradley fell apart, and the A's got rid of him. It was just more trouble than he's worth. And there are players like that. Alex Johnson was like that. But people are willing to take a chance on players. Look what happened with the 49ers with Reuben Foster. The Niners dumped him, and Washington Redskins signed him. Yeah, he may not play again this year, but it'll be his third year in pro ball next year. And he'll be with the Redskins, and they're saying, it's okay. The guy was only arrested 3 times this year, a couple times for spousal abuse or abuse of a woman. But that's okay. We'll take him. I don't get it.
And then you try to build the fan base around that.
Mm-hmm.
Try to build fans that will come out to see the players at an off-season luncheon, for instance. None of that. They don't care about any of that. It's just purely meat on the hoof. And that's the way it goes.
A couple other things happened too of note. The Diamondbacks lost Patrick Corbin to the Washington Nationals, and then they traded Paul Goldschmidt yesterday. And
St. Louis,
and AJ Pollock. AJ Pollock is a free agent. They talk about a center fielder that the Mets may want to go after. They may want to go after Pollock. If he stays healthy, you give the Mets some service. That'd be a good player for them to get. And I feel sorry for Torey Lovullo. He came to Arizona. He turned them around. Next year is the last year of his contract. And if they have a losing season, he's one of the good guys in baseball, and he may be out of a job. It's not through any of his doing.
Or they may realize that you give a guy as much talent as you're going to give him and get from that what you're going to get. Lovullo's young. He's an organizational man, and they may end up realizing the situation and extending him. Jeter's the decision maker on that point, and that's interesting to see. Players becoming managers, players going into management, what happens to their careers. Very few superstars are good instructors. You would have to say Jeter was a front man and at his position not based on talent, but based on marketability. And
very well known.
that's the way of it as well. I mean, Anytime Jeter's name is mentioned, you read what he has to say, what's said about him. It's just natural to do that. But does it help your ball club become a winner? That's another question.
Well, the Miami Marlins have a serious problem. They have people in Miami that are from Pittsburgh and from Cleveland and from New York and Boston and Detroit, all these cold weather places. The ones that live there year-round are not Marlins fans. They're not from Miami. So their attendance with the history of the team of selling off all their players after they get good, they had the worst attendance in all of Major League Baseball last year, under 10,000 people per game, which was terrible.
Well, not to cast stones, because the Oakland A's have had a history of that for the last 7 or 8 years. Just getting good, trading people off, getting good again, building up fans' expectations. Now, my expectations are that they land in a good ballpark. Anything new on that since last we spoke?
I think, no, we discussed it last week. We haven't heard anything. The A's had some PR stuff. They have something going on Saturday at I think it's the Oakland Auditorium. But I got a press release from them. But Dave Cabell is doing the best he can to spruce up the Oakland Coliseum while they're still there. They're making some changes there. They're going ahead with the plans to build a new stadium, but they've got to do some more negotiation with the Port of Oakland to get the land, the environmental impact review. They got to get all that cleared. They got to get the problems of getting people from West Oakland BART Station and from 12th Street Downtown Station over to the ballpark, additional parking. There's a lot involved, and I think they're working on it. And I don't think they're as tight-lipped as the Mueller team is, but they'll let us know when there's something happening.
Well, nothing's been detracted from any of their statements. You don't get a press release that is covered in black ink, so you don't know what's going on, as with the Mueller investigation.
Yeah.
I think that's coming down. I don't think it's coming down quite as fast as people think, only because Flynn and the others are giving these guys so much grist and so much to go on that, you find one thing out, you corroborate another thing, and pretty soon it takes you off in another trail. I would just say this.
Sure.
If Trump isn't shitting a rusty nail as we speak, I'd be very surprised.
And I don't think he'll be invited to throw out the opening pitch at Washington's opening day on opening day next year.
Well, I think he
just doesn't do this thing.
Used it last year. Am I correct?
Yeah, well, if he goes there, he'd get booed. So he's not going to go where he's going to get booed. He only goes to those setup jobs in West Virginia and Mississippi.
Yes. Mississippi, find yourself another nation to be part of. Quoting little Phil Oakes there, from way back when we were protesting a war that needed protesting, and now everything needs protesting. And Trump, in his infinite way of just putting things in, throwing gasoline on a fire, put it that way, in his response to protesters, they should be outlawed. Protesters should be outlawed. Is this Nazi Germany?
If you want to talk about, maybe you could outline it. He's talking about the shifts in baseball, and there's some discussion on that.
Right.
But
I don't think, if you talk to him about the shifts in baseball right now, I think he will just give you a blank stare. He is such a mental, and I'm just curious how the ending is going to be. It's been good theater on a lot of levels, but you see the ending coming for the guy. He definitely won't be reelected. Let's put it that way, if it gets that far.
Well, the other thing too is when the Mueller report does come out, and Flynn gave information to Pence, and so Pence might be in jeopardy as well. And if they wait till
great, and if you could make it treasonous, then when Trump goes, Pence goes, and all the members of his cabinet go. So,
well, who becomes president at that point? If it happens after the first of the year, and they have enough evidence.
Would it be Nancy Pelosi?
You got it. Wouldn't that be poetic justice?
Whoa. Let me put this on record. In Bush's second term, the Bush that had a second term, the newly orphaned man just has the only people that take care of him now are Ollie North and Noriega. They're the only two people left. That's what he was in his will to take care of the severely disabled George Bush mentally. I mean, he has been for a while. Getting off the subject, what was your question? I'm just babbling away at you. It's all so surreal.
Well, when Poppy Bush died the other day, I didn't agree with any of his policies. I thought he did the right thing going into Kuwait. He did the right thing not going into Baghdad after Saddam Hussein backing off. And so he did a couple right things. As for his policies in general, I didn't care for him, but I didn't disrespect him. He had been a
war hero. He'd been the first baseman at Yale. He was the son of Prescott Bush, who was a friend of Hitler.
Know that.
Literally a friend of Hitler.
So was Joe Kennedy. Old man
Exactly.
Joe Kennedy too.
So what he was so far removed from the public image that, notwithstanding, there were a bunch of stuff that made it. I think Trump's being makes the Bush family great in comparison. I don't think they'd be doing this if Trump was a human being. I mean, they'd be doing it, but not to this extent. This has been like a week of stuff, and you got to remember that he was beaten soundly by Clinton for re-election. It wasn't going well for him. Kuwait wasn't going well for him. A lot of GIs came back with all kinds of nerve gas stuff going on. And it also led to Bush Jr.'s retaliation needlessly, because there were no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, because they beat his ass the first time. They beat his daddy's ass, quote him.
I got some information on when you brought up the first Gulf War. The Department of Defense and the CIA both were covering up. They had knowledge that the troops were being gassed by Saddam Hussein out in the field, and they covered it up. And my niece married a fellow, and she worked for the CIA, and her husband worked for the CIA. And he, and
should we be sharing information that anybody?
Yeah. No.
Okay.
His name is Patrick Eddington, And Patrick
no, I didn't mean that. I meant, should we be even talking about CIA stuff?
Sure, yeah.
So give me,
what happened was
some
Patrick,
info on that.
Patrick discovered that there was information that the DOD and the CIA had information that the soldiers had been gassed, and Patrick wanted to pass the information up the chain, and his superior said, "No way, you're not passing it up." Patrick made a move that cost him his career with the CIA. He went over his superior's head and went up the chain. And of course, he got released by the CIA. And when he left the CIA, he founded a group that dealt with veterans issues for soldiers that served in the Gulf. And he wrote a book called "Gassed in the Gulf" about what had happened. And he was on Johnny Carson's show. He was on NPR, National Public Radio. He was all over the place.
Wow.
And his wife, my niece Robin, was no longer could she work in defense industry. It took a while for pariahs who couldn't get a job anywhere in defense. But lately she's been working for a defense contractor in Washington. So these are the things that happen that people don't know about, where the cover up occurred, and people saw their duty to get the information to the public that yes, indeed, that Saddam Hussein had gassed the veterans, and they're covering it up. And this is during the Bush administration, the first Bush administration.
And the second Bush again tried to get Saddam Hussein in direct retaliation for that. Ego sometimes gets in the way. Let's put it that way.
Oh, yeah. They totally disregarded the information coming from the State Department that knew the conflict between the Sunnis and the Shias, and they disregarded it, and they opened up a quagmire that we're still in Iraq 15 years later. 15 years later.
So now, other than Bush's first baseman at Yale, being a first baseman and sharing a love of baseball that all his life, I heard a great story from David Hubler the other day that when he was interviewed in the White House about his baseball playing days at Yale, he was famous for carrying his glove around with him wherever he went back in those days. And whoever it was that was interviewing him asked him, "What happened to that glove?" And Bush Sr. pulls the glove out of his desk drawer at the White House. He still had it. Love with him. And he had a tremendous love of baseball. He was an Astros fan.
Yeah, and there's a picture of him as the Yale baseball player. He was captain of the team, meeting with Babe Ruth in either 1947 or 48, and I think that was
at Yale when they were dedicating something at the Yale Library, and rest her soul, the late Barbara Reed, a good friend of mine over the years, recently passed. Her dad was the librarian at Yale. His name was Bob, or B-A-A-B-E, or something like that. And she was there as a little kid when Babe Ruth was there. I think, they were giving Babe Ruth an honor at Yale that
Could
day.
Be. And Junior, and Junior, George W. Bush was president of the Texas Rangers, and I did an interview with Kevin Kennedy, who managed the Rangers for a couple of years, and he told me about his interview for the job. He was interviewed by George Bush himself, George W. Bush. The interview went on for 2 or 3 hours before he was offered the job, and then he had the job. And then in his second year as a Ranger manager, Bush left to become governor of Texas. And the new guy, his days as a Ranger manager, remember, the new guy wanted his guy. And Kennedy went to the Red Sox after that. But the one thing he said is that George W. Bush knew his baseball. And, of course, when asked about it, Bush said, well, yeah, I know a little bit about baseball, but I'm also remembered as the guy that traded Sammy Sosa away.
That's true. That's true. So the best you could say about the family is they were great baseball fans.
Yes, they were. They are.
And that's not a bad thing. So
not at all.
We have to put that into perspective. Jerry, I love chatting with you.
No, it's great talking with you too, Ralph. It'll be great next week. I'll be home.
I'll be home on a regular basis. We'll get back to the A's pretty soon. We'll bring Nancy in and have a hot stove league about the A's.
Yeah, check your calendar. I'll be up in Alameda. I think I'm going to come up next Wednesday, the 11th. So if you want to do lunch that day, we'll do it.
And we'll try to get Michael Duca to join us if he can.
Oh, that'd be great if you can. I'll see if I can reach Ron Lawyer. Ron is a Yankee fan, and he's got some stories about Whitey Ford that he could tell us about.
Beautiful. I'll bring the little digital recorder, or we'll have a show at Nathan's.
There you go. Sounds good.
Beautiful. Be well, Jerry. Regards to your lovely Isla, and we'll see you when we see you.
Yeah, we're going to have lunch in about a half hour. You know, we're an hour ahead down here in Cabo, so it's 11:45 here. And as it's getting a little bit warm, and I'm going to go back up to the room with air conditioning's on. All righty.
Beautiful.
Take care.
Hey, if you're listening out there, I promise you that I talk to the most interesting people on the planet on a regular basis. Jerry Feiteberg, Pharmacist of the Year in 1995 in California, not just Alameda. There's a number of pharmacies in Alameda. Pharmacist of the Year. That's pretty cool. I'll continue to do that. I'll continue to ramble at you. I'm Ralph Tyko, the Zig Zag Man, comfortably zoned in Alameda, California. Adios, everybody.
Adios. Bye-bye now.
The proceeding was a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production. Thank you for listening.